Hey, thanks for clicking play. I assume you've done so because you are interested in metabolic nutrition and would like to know if this course is right for you. Well, obviously, I can't answer that question, but hopefully, after I've delivered a brief overview of what the Academy is about, it will be easy for you to do so. So, I just want to touch on why I set up the Academy, what sort of approach you can expect, and who I anticipate would be coming on the course. So first things first, why did I set up the Academy? Well, principally because I have too many inquiries relative to my time and I need practitioners that I can refer these people out to. But also I want to use the Academy to address the elephant in the room in our industry. Principally, as a profession, we talk a good game, but who's getting results, really? That's a really big deal here, and the problem is that, it's 2018 and there is a lot of good ideas, but there's a lot of rhetoric. And we take, say, thyroid testing as an example. We all know that standard thyroid testing won't pick up most cases of hypothyroidism. But do we know why? Do we know what the physiology in play is and what markers we need in order to detect that? We talk about how body temperature is the best measure of metabolic rate, but who here knows how to take a peripheral temperature or a core temperature, or what the difference between them is? What does it mean? Equally, if we're presented with a case of low T3 or elevations in reverse T3, do we know what the specific implications are of those two scenarios? Is anyone even testing? So, that's one example, and obviously hugely central to what we talk about in the hormones module. We'll also cover adrenal function, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all the other regulatory hormones of the body. So, touching on the adrenals, we'll talk about how this idea of adrenal fatigue is actually really useful to predict what happens to human beings under stress, but is actually physiologically entirely inaccurate. So we'll cover exactly what's going on there. We'll talk about NADPH and the pentose phosphate pathway and endoplasmic reticulum stress. Not as complicated as it sounds, and it will make sense. We'll also talk about the 4 easy wins when it comes to getting testosterone levels back to where they should be. Hint, it's more to do with what happens here at the hypothalamus, not what happens down there. Obviously, estrogen, progesterone, the complications, the intricacies of that dance, will go into all of that, but also we'll be talking about the importance of leptin and how that brings everything together, specifically in the context of leptin, insulin, adrenaline resistance, which is something that affects so many of the people that we're working with. So, that's pretty much where the hormone module is headed. There's also 3 other modules. We've got digestion and sleep. We've got methylation and the immune system. And then the bringing it all together one, the structuring a treatment plan. So just briefly touching on those, sleep and digestion. So obviously huge element of neurotransmitters and how they interplay with one another. We'll break down the various models of neurotransmitters, but it's going to be very different to looking at what happens when we use 5-HTP. It's not that. It's a case of what affects the conditions in the central nervous system. So circulation, inflammation. Also, what pathways control the regulation of the neurotransmitter production. So methylation, growth hormone, all of these dependent pathways, how they interact with steroids and other chemicals signaling from the body. We'll also look at the peroxynitrite cycle, which is huge and hardly gets a mention. And bring all of that together in a way that shows us how we can easily detect these problems, how we can make a difference there. Digestion, we'll be looking at the most common digestive problems. So oxalates, lectins, for example, they don't get much time of day, and these are something that so many of our patients are dealing with. So We'll take a look at how to screen for those, how to address those. We'll also look at barrier function and what actually makes a difference, because it's something that we talk a lot about, and yet most practitioners, they're not even providing vitamin A. They're not even screening for BCM mutations. So we'll look at what do we need to do in order to expect good outcomes. Methylation and immune system. Well, what can we say there? We all love methylation, right? Obviously, it's really easy to see the allure of methylation. It's a chemical pathway that affects the neurotransmitters, the good ones. It affects the mitochondrial function, the detoxification at the liver, transformation of various hormones. 600 different chemical reactions depend on those methyl groups being supplied. So really, really big deal. But despite the buzz of several years ago, the methylation dream is dying. And it's dying every time someone recommends a off-the-peg methylation supplement. And it just needn't be that way. We can stratify clients quite quickly if we look at the organic acids test, their genetics, and also their responses to various interventions. That does allow us to reach a point where we don't need to give a methylfolate and cross our fingers anymore. That needn't be the case. Immune system section. So these dialogues about vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc and echinacea. Well, these are all great things, but let's actually go beyond that into things that can reliably make a difference. So let's look at an engineer's view of the immune system. So let's look at the use and the limitations of Th1, Th2 paradigm. Let's take a look at cytokines, myokines, adipokines, bring them all together in a way that actually makes sense. And how can we go about winning that most important of all wars for the people we're working with, inflammation? How can we affect that? So that's obviously a huge focus in that module. On top of that, then we've also just got the structuring a treatment plan. So that's where it's a case of, right, now we've got this knowledge, we've got this data, how do we bring it all together? What tests should we bring in to begin with? How quickly should people be progressing? Who is liable, who needs to be referred to other practitioners for postural correction, for other important corrective measures? What is a successful protocol? What sort of pace should we be expecting? When do we test? When do we not? So that, if anything, that's the one module that I would hope would totally change the way that you do things in your clinic more than any other. Okay, so equally, who do I expect to come on the courses? Well, this is a course specifically set up for practitioners. And that's not an elitist thing. It's simply that we are going to go deep. And without some sort of base of knowledge, I really doubt that it's going to work out so well. And equally, I need to prioritize making this valuable for practitioners, because when it comes to this course, I just want it to have the biggest impact possible for the maximum number of people, and that means practitioners are key. So yes, it is a practitioner level course. Those people who are on their way to become practitioners with sufficient experience, they may well be suitable as well. So if that's you, let's have a chat about that. Finally, I think there's something really important to touch on, which is that I have been a practitioner for 13 years, and I have gone through that CPD circus more times than I care to recall. And so many times I've been that guy at the back just catching up on my emails, because I'm just so disappointed in the anonymous practitioner in front of me using platitudes to deliver a second-hand message. So yeah, that's massively put me off so many educational courses that maybe could have been good. So I understand where people are at, and the last thing I want to do is sit here and spout off about the problems in the industry without actually acknowledging them or responding to them. And the last thing I want is for people to come on my course on the basis of what I say, because that's stepping into the world of rhetoric, the exact thing we don't want. So what I propose there is a money back guarantee. I have spent years putting this course together. It's been a fair bit of blood, sweat and tears, and I'm really, really proud of what it entails and what it delivers and the difference that it could make for you. So I'm going to guarantee that. And that means that if at the end of the first day, so that's 7 hours of engaging in the process, 7 hours of listening to me, if you do not agree that this is the single most useful, most interesting and well-researched course out there, then great. I will give you all your money back. We will part ways as friends, full refund, no questions asked. So that's pretty much my expectations for the course. That's hopefully giving you a flavour of what sort of angles you can expect, and hopefully allows you to decide if you think that could be right for you. If so, there's going to be the contact information on this very page, so get in touch, drop me a line, and we'll take it from there. Maybe see you soon.